An all-pro receiver with multiple Pro Bowl selections and a history of changing the course of games just dropped a bombshell that could be the ultimate weapon for Jaden Daniels, or the spark that ignites our locker room. It makes sense to join the Commanders, according to sources close to the situation. Dream signing or nightmare in Ashburn? While the smoke from this potential superstar is still clearing, Adam Peters' patience with Brandon Aiyuk is about to pay off. ESPN reports confirm the 49ers haven't received serious offers, leaving the door open for Peters to bring him home without giving up a single first-round pick. Masterstroke or calculated risk, and just when we thought we'd seen it all, the Commanders just brought back a veteran many thought was finished. Antonio Hamilton Sr., strategic reinforcement or a sign of fragility in our secondary? Don't miss a single second of this explosive analysis. Like and subscribe to join the true Commander Nation. And if you trust Adam Peters' process, this is burgundy and gold to the core. Y'all don't understand the emotional roller coaster this news puts me on. Stefon Diggs, the guy who's been a headache for many defenses, talking to the Commanders, saying it makes sense to come home. Bro, this is a double-edged sword, and we need to analyze it under a microscope, a magnifying glass that reveals even the smallest crack, even the slightest hidden intention. Because when it comes to a player with Diggs' history, every word, every gesture has to be dissected with a surgeon's precision. On one hand, the idea of Diggs alongside Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, imagine that aerial attack. It would be explosive, unstoppable. Diggs is a playmaker, a guy who changes a game with one play, a receiver who demands double coverage and opens up the field like few others. His route running is elite, his hands are secure, and his ability to make plays after the catch is something we desperately lack. And if he comes with that coming home mentality of being the leader we need, of redeeming himself in his hometown, it could be the push Daniels needs to explode in his second year. The idea of a Diggs-McLaurin duo is fantasy, a cheat code for our offense, a nightmare for opposing defenses. We could be talking about one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, no exaggeration. We'd have two receivers capable of winning anywhere on the field, creating brutal spacing and opening up lanes for the run game. That, on paper, is a wet dream for any offensive coordinator. But, and here comes the big but, the elephant in the room that nobody wants to see, the ghost that haunts Diggs in every locker room he steps into. Are we sure Diggs is the piece we need right now? His track record isn't exactly that of a drama-free player. We've seen how he's handled situations on other teams, how he's forced his way out, how he's expressed his frustration in ways that, let's just say, aren't exactly exemplary for a locker room under construction. From Buffalo to Minnesota, the narrative has been the same. Undeniable talent, but with a tendency to be a disruptive force when things don't go his way. Do we want to bring that kind of energy into a locker room that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are trying to build from scratch? With a culture of unity, teamwork, and zero egos? My concern is real, fam. We cannot allow individual talent, no matter how brilliant, to derail the train we're getting started. Team chemistry, trust between players and staff is a fragile thing, and a single toxic element can corrode everything. Furthermore, at what cost? Diggs isn't going to come cheap, neither in salary nor in the draft capital we might have to give up if it's a trade. We're talking about a massive contract for a receiver who is already in the latter part of his prime with a history of injuries that, while not extensive, is always a concern. And with the Aiyuk situation still up in the air, is it smart to put all our eggs in the basket of a veteran WR with a, let's say, interesting past? My concern is that while the talent is undeniable, the cultural fit and the impact on team chemistry could be too great a risk. Are we ready for that kind of diva on a team that's just finding its identity, that's learning how to win? Keep it a buck, fam. This smells like it could be more smoke than fire, or worse, a fire that burns more than it illuminates. The front office needs to be extremely careful here. We cannot sacrifice the foundation we're building for a big name that could destabilize everything. Culture comes first, and if Diggs doesn't align with that, no matter how many touchdowns he promises, he could be a slow poison for our team. I don't want us to go back to the days of dysfunction, not now that we have a real chance to be relevant. Patience is a virtue, but naivety is a cardinal sin in the NFL. And speaking of receivers, the Brandon Aiyuk saga continues to be a Netflix-worthy soap opera, with more twists than a Venezuelan telenovela and with an ending that always seems to be just around the corner but never arrives. Adam Peters' patience with Aiyuk, waiting for the Niners to release him, is starting to pay off, huh? Reports say nobody has spoken to Aiyuk, that he's in limbo, and that the 49ers haven't received serious offers. This is exactly what Peters wanted, or at least what he wants us to believe. A chess move, waiting for the opponent to surrender. But this is where I get critical and where my obsessive fan side starts to boil. Is this a brilliant strategy or simply a risky move that could leave us empty-handed and with a crippled passing attack? Regretting a lost opportunity? Yes, it's great that Peters doesn't want to give away draft picks. I get that. We're not the old Commanders who wasted picks like candy on Halloween, giving up first-rounders for players not worth a fifth. But what if Aiyuk decides he no longer wants to come to Washington because of all the waiting? What if another team at the last minute makes an offer the Niners can't refuse, even for a low pick? And what if the Niners, out of pure stubbornness, out of wounded pride, decide to keep him and not release him, leaving us with nothing and with a Jaden Daniels who desperately needs an elite WR2? My point is, patience is a virtue, yes, but in the NFL, sometimes boldness pays more. Inaction can be just as detrimental as a bad decision. If Aiyuk really wants to come and reunite with Daniels, shouldn't we have been more aggressive to close the deal and secure our elite WR2? This situation gives me anxiety, bro. I don't want us to end up with nothing. We want Aiyuk. We need him. He's a proven receiver with a profile that perfectly complements McLaurin and would give Daniels a reliable and explosive target. His ability to win one-on-one, his field vision, his versatility to play both outside and in the slot are qualities that would elevate our offense to another level. But this eternal wait, while it may seem smart on paper, could be a costly mistake if it doesn't materialize. The window to win with Daniels is now, and we need all the weapons possible. We can't afford to play blind man's bluff with a talent like Aiyuk. The NFL waits for no one, and if we don't act decisively, someone else will. Patience is good, but inaction at the key moment can be fatal. We cannot allow such a valuable asset to slip away for a couple of draft picks that at the end of the day are just gambles. Now, let's move on to something that left me scratching my head and with a bittersweet taste in my mouth. The return of Antonio Hamilton Sr. Look, I understand the need for depth in the secondary, especially after what happened last year with the injuries that decimated our unit. We had moments where it felt like we were playing with fans pulled from the stands. But Hamilton, the guy who played one decent game against the Giants and then disappeared off the map like a ghost, this seems to me like a sign that the front office isn't as confident in the depth of our secondary as they want us to believe. If we have to resort to a 33-year-old veteran who was practically out of the team, who couldn't stay on the roster last season, what does that say about the young talents we have or about the signings that were made? It's a patch, fam, and a patch that doesn't give me much security. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound that needs stitches, a temporary solution that doesn't address the root problem. Yes, Hamilton had a good game, a glimmer of hope in a dark season, but one game doesn't make a career, much less solve a roster problem of the magnitude we have in the secondary. I'm worried that we're betting on experience over potential, or worse, that there are no better options available on the market. This makes me think that our secondary is still a weak point, a vulnerability that opposing teams will exploit mercilessly, throwing deep passes and attacking our corners. And if Adam Peters' strategy for that position hasn't been as effective as we hoped, what are we doing? Are we really building a contending team or just filling holes with whatever we can? I hope I'm wrong, I really do, but this move seems more like an admission of problems than a real solution. It's a desperate Hail Mary, and that's not what I want to see from a front office that promises excellence. We need real solutions, not temporary patches that will only give us headaches later on, especially when facing elite quarterbacks. And there you have it, Commanders Nation. 3 news stories that leave us with more questions than answers, right? From the potential Diggs drama, the eternal wait for Aiyuk, to Hamilton's return. This is what it means to be a Commanders fan. There's never a dull day, never a moment of peace, but we need answers, we need action, and we need the front office to be transparent with us. We cannot settle for less, not now that we have a real chance to build something special. So fam, I want to know what you think. Is Diggs a risk worth taking, or is he a ticking time bomb waiting to explode? Should we have been more aggressive for Aiyuk, or is Peter's patience the key? And what does Hamilton's return mean for our secondary? Leave your comments below, smash that like button if you're with me on this, and subscribe so you don't miss a single analysis from your boy. Until next time, and as always, hail to the Commanders. Let's raise hail together with or without Hamilton, with or without Aiyuk, but always with the passion that defines us.